What's good, YouTube? AMQ, number 4. What is the story behind NS the Mindset and how it was created? So, with my background and my environment growing up, there was only a few paths that I thought I could take in life based on who I was around, being black, African American as well. So, basically, one of those paths was being some sort of athlete. So, whether it was playing basketball, football, baseball, soccer, anything like that, being some kind of athlete that got to a professional level to perform at the highest level. The other thing was to be in the music industry, whether that was rapping, singing, producing, anything like that. That was the other option. There's always a third option, which was something illegal, and I knew that was off the table as it was. So I did play sports growing up. Um, I played a lot. I ended up leaning more towards hooping and basketball for the most part. It led me to a space where I essentially could have an environment to be myself. I didn't need to talk a whole lot. I worked on talking, but I let kind of the work speak for itself. And I was more like a Tim Duncan. I wasn't flashy. I wasn't doing all the extra and stuff like that. I got the job done. So that was that area. But I also had the other side that I still love and appreciate the music and the music industry. Now, I did get away from music for the last year and a half, almost 2 years. I'm just now starting to get back into it to a degree. But NS the Mindset kind of came from that area. So for me, I don't know if that this fits for everybody, but growing up, typically everybody rapped, they sang or did something like that, even if it was just for fun. So sometimes for me in my head, I came up with a rap name. So with me growing up, dealing with some of the things I dealt with emotionally, mentally, not knowing my self worth and all that stuff, I came up with the name Insecure, just the letter N and then secure. And so, because that's what I was most of the time, I was always worried about a bunch of stuff. I wasn't sure of who I was and what it is I was doing for the most part, navigating life, as I didn't have much of a purpose or a path at that time, as I was still figuring out. But I still am figuring it out. And so it started with that to a degree. Now, my journey to get to where I am now with the whole aspect of NS the Mindset started with in 2021. I was going through a lot just in my life in general. My personal life, my son was just born a few months prior, still dealing with some of the stuff going on with my daughter being in another state. And then I was dealing with my condo being in the market. I had a condo where I did rent it out to tenants during COVID. After like 2 months, they stopped paying rent. And it took me basically 10 months after that to finally get them out. I ended up getting fully reimbursed thanks to one of these aides that paid rent for the tenant. So I got all that handled, but they trashed the place. Windows were broken. Things like in the ceiling were messed up. Like it was a mess. And so during that time, there was a whole lot of painting and fixing and stuff like that. And I was actually going to put it back on the market. But something spoke to me, and I noticed how much time was being taken away from my son. And he was just born a few months prior, as I mentioned. And for me, I know that was more important than anything. So after doing some talking and stuff with the realtor I was working with, I decided to put it on the market. It was a hot market during that time in 2021. And I figured get rid of it, get rid of the headache and stuff like that. And I actually ended up getting lowballed for offers with that. So I was just stressed and worried because I was getting so many lowball offers. I just ended up taking an offer that was probably like 20 or 30,000 less than what I even put it on the market for and what it was worth. I just wanted to get rid of the headache. And one morning, my realtor reached out to me and told me they wanted something else fixed. Now, we already lowered the price very, very low from what it was. Now, to fix more was a little ridiculous. And so he told me, basically, he said I wouldn't do anything about it because I also have somebody who does want it and they're willing to pay the price that we put it on the market for. And I'm like, okay, but we can't get out of contract just because. And he's like, yeah, but I'm thinking if we say no to fixing the repair that they want, they'll send a form of cancellation. So I am a man of God and a man of faith, and my Christian values have been a part of my life forever. But I was not as devoted to being obedient as I am now. But I got to that point where a lot of Christians go to where they're not sure if this is the life for them, if they truly want to be obedient. But after that interaction with my realtor, I just started praying. I said, basically, if this goes through and everything works out how we want it to work out, I just said, basically, I will be obedient, pretty much. 6 hours later, I got a cancellation email. And here I am today. But leading up to after all that happened, fulfilling in being obedient and stuff like that, I gave up a lot of things I liked. I stopped watching TV. I stopped listening to music. I started focusing more on how to be essentially a bank for myself, but not for myself only, but to be able to get the tools and the insight and wisdom to be able to share that with other people and help other people, like my kids, my nieces, nephews, friends, all that kind of stuff, to a degree where I no longer have to worry about anybody else to provide for me specifically, or even for the people who are in need of it, and to be able to be of service to others. It does help when you can leverage those resources in the aspect of finance. So those things for the next, I want to say, 10 months, I really went hard on doing pretty much. And so leading up to where I am now, and I want to say it was August of 2022, I ended up creating the NS the Mindset profile on social media platforms. Started coming up with the logo like in the summer, June, July, and stuff like that, because it was something that kind of came there essentially during that process. But it was a very tough thing because that I actually got off social media in 2017 for a lot of reasons. For myself, I saw a lot of fakeness on the internet, a lot of people boasting about their lives, knowing they live a totally different and fake life offline. And for me, I wasn't having it. I know a lot of people worry about having access to different people, especially when it comes to like relationships and dating and stuff like that from being on social media. So in 2017, making my daughter a focus and being able to progress in life, that was more important than just seeing where everybody's traveling to, seeing everybody's kids. Even though I love seeing everybody's kids, I also knew some of the stuff that was going on in the background, and everybody just posted the good times online. For me, I wasn't having it. And I just interacted with the people who had my personal number, and I know they had a true relationship with me. And so going to building the social media platforms and getting online basically 5 years later, it was not easy because I started from scratch and I wasn't doing it from a personal way. I was doing it more so from a business standpoint and still kind of figuring out what it is I was trying to do from a business standpoint. So I ended up getting to what I'm doing now, which is mindset speaking and focusing on the aspects of, and being an inspiration to help other people get to their version of fulfillment, whatever that may be. And doing that made me face, I guess, one of the biggest fears that I learned, not just for me, but for most people, which is public speaking. Putting myself, my ways of thinking, the way I talk, my mind out there in a way that basically millions or billions of people have access to now with the internet and social media platforms is a scary thing. It comes with a lot of pressure that if anybody, like most people do, they think they're just interacting with family and friends and stuff like that. It's like, no, you're putting yourself out there for the world to see at this point. Once you put it on there, it is there for everybody and it is there forever, essentially. Even if you delete it, it's still, that information is still going to be accessible at some point for the most part. And so being able to put myself out there in the way that I am now and facing a fear that not just I have, but most of the world has, allows me to not really worry about too many other things in terms of all the little fears and stuff like that, the little worries and anxieties I would have with the mental health and depression and suicidal thoughts and stuff like that, because I was worried about being outcasted, not being accepted or fitting into anything. I was trying so hard for so long, and now it's like I'm at a point where it's like I care, but I only care about doing it with the right people. And so that's kind of the story of how I came to be and what it is I'm doing. It actually just started where I wanted to be a coach. I wanted to just basically coach people. I didn't really put my story and what it is I'm doing out there in full. I just wanted to coach people and help other people get to where they wanted to get to and face their fears and grow and develop in life. But then along that journey, more people wanted to know about me and my story and what it is that I'm doing that got me to where I am today. So essentially, we are all healing, and that is what I'm doing. And more people are starting to resonate with the healing aspect and what it is that I've done, what I've gone through, and what it is I'm currently going through, than just me coaching them at this point. And so for me, that's why I came more of a speaker and more so in the aspect of actually telling people what it is I do consistently, what it is I'm going through, and allow things to resonate from a personal perspective, where I'm not just telling you like a fitness coach, like, hey, do X, Y, and Z and you'll lose the weight. Not understanding the person's circumstances, their health issues, their family, genetics, all that kind of stuff. I'm going to more so focus on the individual and the one size fits all thing in terms of mentorship. And at the same time, I don't want you to stay with me forever. I want to be able to get you in and get you out so you can go handle your life in the world and then go do it to treat other people and train other people in the way that you learned for you. But if you're in a place where you can do that and you can get past those fears that you do have, you will be ultimately you will become a better, bigger, stronger version of yourself that you never thought possible. And that's who I am, and that's my story of how I got here, basically. So thank you again, AMQ number 4. I will see y'all next week.